Are you actually living your life or are you living somebody else's life? Maybe a group of people's lives. Let's get into it. My name is Peter Abundant, aka Dr. Abundant, PhD, and ordained minister of metaphysical sciences, which is the study of beyond the physical, going into the deeper meaning of things. I'm also the author of The Enlightened Shadow and Spiritual, Not Religious. While I am a minister, a teacher, and author of metaphysical sciences and spirituality, I also work as a hospice nurse. And today I had an interesting exchange. Well, I should say every day is always an interesting exchange. It's always a exchange of vulnerability, intimacy, very deep spiritual connection. But today I was talking to a patient and she got into talking about her exchange with another nurse and recognizing that she, even though she's almost 100, she's about 95, I believe, she recognizes that when it comes to saying something that she really feels, she has a hard time doing it because she is concerned about hurting the other person's feelings. So instead of saying anything at all, she just keeps quiet. Now, this exchange between her and another nurse led to a long, drawn-out experience for no apparent reason where, the nurse came to visit her late in the evening and she was tired and exhausted and wanted to call it a night and go to sleep. And so as I'm talking to this patient today, I asked her, I said, why didn't you say anything? Why did you just simply tell the nurse that you have no interest in what it is that she's sharing with you, because apparently she was sharing some personal stuff, and that you're tired and you would like to go to sleep and just call it a night. And this patient, just as kind and sweet as she is, she just said, I don't know. I always do that. I always, just be the nice person. And she finds it hard, or she finds it difficult for her to be anything other than that. And so I'm communicating to her, like, listen, you're the boss. You're in charge here. Like, we are here to support you on this journey. And so we joked a little bit, and I said, you know what? We're going to get you to the point where you can just be honest and say what you mean, right? And she laughed and said, yeah, hopefully I figure it out before I pass away. And so we laughed, and I said, yeah, we're going to get it. And then I told her, once you make that breakthrough, you're going to be giving everybody the finger. You're going to be free to truly experience authenticity. Now, of course, this doesn't mean giving people the bird is the best way to communicate, right? But this woman has lived a lifelong life. And the last thing she needs is to compromise, is to appease other people, especially strangers, right? Even if they are the nurse, right? Even if they are the doctor, even if they are the maintenance guy, right? Even if it's government, the president of the United States, it doesn't matter. When you live the lifelong life, you've earned your stripes and you have earned the right to say whatever you want. But then my message to you is it goes deeper than that. What I want to ask you is, how much of yourself are you keeping hidden? Are you avoiding to allow expression? How much of your life has this affected you? Are you actually living an authentic life with who you know yourself to be? Are you actually pursuing the things that you desire? Are you saying the things that you mean? Because if you are not identifying what it is that you feel, and you are not at least working toward articulating what it is that you feel with the kindness that you wish to portray onto others, then you will always be stuck. So it goes beyond just simple expression and communication, but that is a signal. That is a small sign as to your life in totality. What is your life about? Is your life a combination of ideas that maybe your parents, your family, your culture has programmed in you, or are they actually authentic and connected with your true self? Many of us are living a life that isn't ours. We're living a life that is a projection, a quest or need for approval or validation from other people, but doesn't align with who you truly are. Why are you doing that to yourself? You have to recognize that no matter what you do, no matter how successful you appear to be in this path that you have been given and have accepted, it isn't your path. You will never escape the reality that you are meant for something else. You will never escape the yearning because you can never escape yourself. You will always be you. And just because somebody else has given you an idea to do something else, you're not at a space where you are obligated to truly follow that for the rest of your life. You can easily let that go. Because if you do not let that go and you do not follow your most authentic self, you're going to be in a state of true unhappiness, which will manifest in depression, which will manifest in, physical illness and disease, which will manifest in negative and poor relationships. Ultimately, the manifestation of a life you don't want to live. So let's not go down the path of living that life. Recognize that your life is meant for you to express your most authentic self. It's meant for you to actually follow your curiosity, follow your passion, follow your heart. It's important to recognize that your consciousness, the most important, purest, most powerful, divine aspect of all of who you are, should not be compromised for society. It should not be compromised for your family, not even for your kids, because you have to recognize that divine spark, that individualized expression of that which we call God, is here for a reason. It's here to fulfill a purpose, a mission. Now, when you actually fulfill that mission, all that you can possibly desire will materialize itself beyond your imagination. The issue is your imagination is fixated on other people's ideas, because at the time you did not have the capability, the comprehension to think beyond what it is that they have introduced to you. So you took that in, received it, accepted it, and now you're on this journey of fulfilling something that isn't meant for you to fulfill, which ultimately will lead to your unfulfillment. So you have to understand that it is wrong, and it's rare for me to say something is wrong, but it is absolutely wrong for you to compromise your consciousness. In fact, it is so wrong, it is impossible to do. You will try, you will follow the program, but it will always lead to unfulfillment. And at the end of life, you will lay there and ask yourself, why didn't I follow my dreams? Why didn't I do this? Why did I just simply conform to the norm or what society says I should do? And I really implore you, I almost beg you, from all that I witnessed as a hospice nurse, that please don't go that route. It is better to go the route of following your consciousness, right? Which in reality is the path of least resistance, because you're following the divine spark, that divine intelligence and wisdom. It may materialize initially in the physical realm as the most resistance, because you have to rearrange and change, your life. You have to be witness to the changes and the shifts that will happen around you as a result of who you are being. who you are coming into. And so you have to get over that part, recognize that that is only temporary. Because at the end of it, you following your consciousness, that path of least resistance, though it can express itself physically as resistance, that resistance will pass. And eventually you will get to a point of completion, of wholeness, recognition of your wholeness, and thus manifesting the life, the fulfillment, the understanding of self that you desire right now. So you have to put away the voices of this is what you should do. This is who you should be with. This is how you should live. This is where you should live. This is how many kids you should have. Those voices are essentially pulling you away from your truth. And as long as you learn to distinguish your voice from those voices, you will still be in this state of perpetual, confusion, frustration, anger. But once you can identify your voice, the part of you that says, this is what I want, this is what I desire, this is what fulfills me, and you follow that advice, you follow that voice, then ultimately you will find the fulfillment we all seek and we are all here to actually achieve. This world it can be very tricky because there's so many layers of it. But what I want you to recognize is you are the creator of your reality. When you're not aware of that, it seems like the world, the universe, is created for you, and you just simply have to exist in it. And whatever happens, you just accept. Right? You accept the best way you can. Often that acceptance looks like complaining. It looks like anger. It looks like depression. It looks like anxiety. It looks like you have no control. But once you take this conscious spiritual journey, you recognize you have all the control because you start to recognize things like the ability to see how powerful, right? Even if you identify the universe is happening to you, you can still recognize the power of how you decide to respond to that universe. Then hopefully you get to the understanding that the universe is actually responding to you. And then you learn to recognize what frequency you're putting out to the universe and why it's responding to you in a particular way. Then you start to realize you and the universe are not separate. You are one. So this journey is about recognizing the singular voice, right? The master, the creator, you, your consciousness. And so I invite you to really identify who you are. Identify the path that is meant for you. And you will know it not just intellectually or conceptually. You will know it simply from intuition, simply from your consciousness leading the way, being the guiding light within the dark tunnel. It's your lamp. So don't think too much about the path needing to be clear and laid out. Feel it. Trust in yourself. And when you trust in yourself and you make decisions based on that, it will eventually always lead you to the destination, to the goal, to the objective, to the mission, fulfilling that mission. So, what are you going to do? Let's move forward, recognizing the most important voice that you are to listen to, and only listen to that voice. All the other voices, you can consider them, you can ignore them completely, but it really doesn't matter. The most important thing is you focusing on your voice and following the path that is meant for you. Your consciousness is leading you there. Thank you so much. Feel free to go to drabundant.com, Subscribe to my daily newsletter and get access to this free ebook, The Power Within. Continue to join me on this journey. Peace and abundance always.